Hello everyone, today welcome to the free crash course for competitive exams by VIRAT HINDUSTAN SANGHAM in association with Manifest IAS. So this program is inspired by Dr. Subramanian SWAMY and it was inaugurated on 28 January 2022. This program is by Dr. Ravishankar sir, State Education Convener, VHS Karnataka and President of Good Neighbors India NGO. So I am your chief mentor of the program. So I have been teaching civil service aspirants for past 5 years. So you can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of VIRAT HINDUSTAN SANGHAM. Here is the link, and the YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. Here is the link, and also you can join our Telegram channel. So for free mentoring, this is the link for joining our Telegram channel, VHS Education. Okay, so we are doing this program in association with Manifest IAS, Bengaluru and Udaya News Karnataka. So here is the timetable of the program along with syllabus. First we have started with Polity, next we are going to move to History on 7th of February. So we are going to end with General Science on 1st of April. So here is the link for our Telegram channel, VHS Education. You can join by going to this link or scanning this QR code. Okay, so what to expect out of these classes and how to make best use of this course, both for veterans and freshers. So veteran aspirants can use this program as a revision course. So I am going to discuss in detail all the concepts, and you can also use this for clearing the critical concepts on which you have doubts. Along with it, freshers can use it to have a bird view of what you are supposed to study and also understand critical concepts with respect to various with respect to the course on various competitive exams. Okay, today I am going to start with the chapter on Parliament, one of the most important chapters in your chief source, that is Lakshmikant. So I am going to start with Parliament. So what is Parliament? Parliament is a legislative body. So in India we call it as Parliament. In USA they call it as Congress. So likewise in Germany they call it by different name. In France they call it by different name. So in the Parliament, the lower house in India is called as Lok Sabha and the upper house is called as Rajya Sabha. Whereas in USA, the Parliament is called as Congress and the upper house is called as Senate. Okay, so what are the constitutional provisions with respect to the Parliament? So the constitutional provisions start from Article 79 to Article 122. From 79 to 122, the articles in the Constitution deal with Parliament. Which part of the Constitution? It is Part 5. Part 5 of the Constitution deals with the Parliament from Article 79 up to Article 122. So first is spoken about the constitutional provisions. What is the organization of the Parliament? So the Parliament contains, as I said, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha as well as the President. Is President the part of Parliament? Yes. Parliament consists of President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is your lower house and Rajya Sabha is your upper house. So Lok Sabha is also called as House of People. What do you mean by House of People? So the member of parliaments in the Lok Sabha, that is MPs, we the people of India elect them directly. That is why the lower house is called as House of People, whereas the upper house is called as Rajya Sabha. It is called as the House of States. So House of States means states have a representation in this house. states have a representation. States as an entity are represented in the Rajya Sabha. So it is not, the people of India are not represented in the Rajya Sabha, whereas states per se, the entire state has a representation in the Rajya Sabha. On what basis? Based on the population. Suppose Uttar Pradesh having highest number of population has the maximum representation in Rajya Sabha, whereas Arunachal Pradesh with one of the less population has only one seat in Rajya Sabha. So based on the population, the representation in Rajya Sabha is given. So in UK it is called as House of Lords. Upper house is called as House of Lords and the lower house is called as House of Commons. So what is the composition of the two houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha? First of all, we will discuss what is Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha has 250 members. How much? 250 members. So out of 250 members, 238 are to be represented by the states. 238 members come from states. What about the rest 12 members? Rest 12 members are nominated. Nominated by whom? President. The President of India nominates 12 persons to Rajya Sabha from various fields. What are the fields? Arts, science, social service and many other fields. So you know Sachin Tendulkar, Rekha and many famous personalities are represented in the Rajya Sabha by nomination. Even the former Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi ji, was also represented in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, this is with respect to Rajya Sabha. At present, Rajya Sabha has how many members? Rajya Sabha at present has 245 members. Okay. So, how do the Rajya Sabha representation takes place? By states, union territories and nominated members. So, states representation. So, what happens in the states? Rajya Sabha members are elected by the State Legislative Assembly members, that is MLAs. So, your MLAs are going to elect the Rajya Sabha members by what? By single proportional representation by single transferable vote. What is proportional representation by single transferable vote? I already told in the class on President. What is meant by proportional representation by single transferable vote? The same mechanism, Rajya Sabha members are elected by State Legislative Assembly. Okay. Next is representation by union territories. You know, India has today 8 union territories. So out of which the union territories of Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir, only these 3 states have representation in the Rajya Sabha. Why only these 3 states? Because only these 3 states have legislative assemblies headed by a chief minister. So there is a council of minister who is headed by chief minister, and also there is a legislative assembly in these 3 states, in these 3 union territories, and they send representatives to the parliament. So here it's not a similar election as in the states. See here, there is no in the union territories, there is no proportional representation by single transferable vote. So there is a electoral college. So there is an electoral college which is constituted for the purpose, and this electoral college elects the members for the Rajya Sabha. This much information is sufficient. Next is, as I said, nominated members, 12 members from various fields: art, literature, science and social service. Okay, next is composition of Lok Sabha. So what is the composition of Lok Sabha? The maximum members is, so the maximum number of members is 552. So 552 members is the maximum numbers. So here, out of which 530 comes from the states, rest 20 comes from the union territories, and rest 2 are nominated by the president from the Anglo-Indian community. However, this was made this was removed. This was Anglo-Indian representation was removed recently by 126 Constitutional Amendment Bill. Please cross-check the Constitutional Amendment Bill by which the Anglo-Indian representation was removed. Okay, representation of states. How states are represented in the Rajya Sabha. So, we directly elect the members based on constituencies. For example, in the majority of the cases, each district will be a constituency. In these constituencies, we send representatives. We elect the MPs in the districts and they are sent to the Parliament, Lok Sabha. So, representation in the Union Territories. So, Union Territories representation, we have a separate act for that. What is that act? Union Territories Direct Election to the House of People Act. Union Territories Direct Election to the House of People Act 1965, by which the members of Lok Sabha from the Union Territories are elected. So, there is a mechanism. So, it's not like territorial constituencies, but a separate mechanism which is given in the Union Territories Act 1965. Next, nominated members. Nominated members are Anglo-Indian community. However, this is now removed. Okay. So, next is system of elections to Lok Sabha. How elections are carried out to Lok Sabha. Territorial constituencies. Territorial constituencies means what? I said in the majority of the cases, each district will be a constituency. However, this is not the case all the time. Sometimes a territory from a adjoining district will also be a part of the Lok Sabha constituency. Who decides these constituencies? These constituencies are decided by Delimitation Commission. So, who constitutes this Delimitation Commission? So, Delimitation Commission is constituted by the President of India. When? So, after every election, after every census, which takes place every 10 years, Delimitation Commission has to be constituted to demarcate the boundaries of the Lok Sabha constituencies. Okay. Next is, I have spoken about territorial constituencies. So, each state is allocated a number of seats in the Lok Sabha. On what basis? On the basis of the population. So, in what manner? Each state is allotted a number of seats in the Lok Sabha in such a manner that the ratio between the number and its population is same for all the states. So, ratio between the number of seats and the population is similar for all the states. Why this principle is applied? Ratio between the number of seats and the population should be same for all the states. Why? Because each constituency has a similar strength. So, each constituency would not be disproportionately represented in the Lok Sabha. That is why this principle is used. Okay. Next is, each state is divided into territorial constituency in such a manner that the ratio between population of each constituency and the number of seats allotted is same throughout the state. What does it mean? So, it means we have constituencies, right? So, each constituency, if we allot one seat, so the number of population, suppose 10 lakh population, one seat. So, this ratio should be same across the state. Suppose Karnataka has number of districts, 30 districts, right? So, 30. So, in that, suppose the district of Hassan has 10 lakh population, one MP for that district. Similarly, the district of Mandya, if they have 10 lakh population, one seat. More than 10 lakh, then that particular constituency will be joined with the adjoining constituency. So, a new constituency will be formed. So, this ratio should be same across the state. First principle is across the states the ratio should be similar with respect to the seats. Next is within the state all the constituencies should have equal population sending equal representatives. Okay. Next is readjustment after each census. After each census the constituencies have to be readjusted. Why? Because the population would be changing, the population ratio would be changing, people migrate, in migration, out migration, number of deaths might increase, number of births might increase, so many other cases. That is why delimitation will be taken place. So allocation, why? So adjustment is to be made in allocation of seats to the Lok Sabha, to the state, in the Lok Sabha to the states, division of state into lower territorial constituencies. So this delimitation commission does two jobs. One is allocation of seats to the states for Lok Sabha and also delimitation of the territorial constituency. So what is delimitation? Delimitation means what? Delimitation means marking the boundary of a constituency. Suppose this is Hassan district, this is Mandya district. So the delimitation commission comes and says this boundary, the electors residing within the boundary of this constituency will vote for Hassan Lok Sabha constituency. So they also delimit the next constituency. Suppose Mandya district, they are going to say form the boundary and say the electors within this particular constituency will vote for this particular Mandya constituency, Lok Sabha constituency. So that is how delimitation is taken place. So when and all delimitation has been done, so Delimitation Act 1952, 62, 72 and 2002. So into 1976, what was done in 1976? It was said that no more delimitation for another 25 years because to encourage population limiting measures. If we go on delimiting, it will be difficult because population keeps changing. So in order to reduce the population and fix the constituency strength, so they postponed the delimitation for another 25 years. This was postponed again for 25 years by an amendment act in 2002. Okay. So in the year 2000, not 2002. So another two. So until 2026, there is no delimitation of constituencies in India. So next is reservation of seats for SCs and STs. You know, so where was this reservation concept first begins? So in communal award by Ramsay MacDonald. So he gives a separate electorate for the depressed classes. After which Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar negotiate and say, and what do they say? They say instead of separate electorate, we are going to give reserved constituencies. In the reserved constituencies, what is meant by reserved constituency? So in that particular constituency, only person belonging to that particular caste or person belonging to either SC community or ST community, only they can contest. No other person can contest in that reserved constituency. So after every census, so these reserved constituencies are not fixed. After every census, during the delimitation, even this concept of setting which constituency belongs to SC, which constituency will be reserved for SCs or STs is set after every census during delimitation. Okay. So originally this provision was to operate till 1960. However, by this provision means reservation of seats. Originally it was to be operative for till 1960. However, later on it has been extended. Now it has been extended until 2030. Okay, next is we follow the first past the post system. What is first past the post system? Suppose there are 10,000 electors in a constituency. 10,000 electors. Sorry, I have meant, okay, let us take, there are 1 lakh electors. Okay, there are 10 candidates. So some candidate gets 1,000 vote, some candidates get 2,000 vote, some candidate gets 3,000 vote. Likewise, whoever gets the highest number of votes. So suppose in this one candidate might get 26,000 votes. So this might be the highest number of votes. So he will be elected. He will be elected as the, he will be returned as the elected candidate either for the state legislative assembly or the parliament. So this is called the first past the post system. Means we are not hoping for, so majority means what? Someone out of 1 lakh should get 50,000 votes. 50,000 one vote. 50,000 plus one vote. But in the first past the post system, suppose there are 5 candidates, whoever get the highest number of votes, they get elected. This is what is meant by first past the post system. So there was other debate in the Constitution Assembly. What was the debate? They were saying we should follow proportional representation. Proportional representation. Proportional representation means what? So how much vote did the ruling party get in the last Lok Sabha election? Out of the total valid votes polled. So they got only around 34-35% of votes. So even the party which doesn't get any votes, any seats, might also get some 25% of votes. Even then they might end up with 0 seats. So actually it is said that even after getting 25% of votes, they are not getting any seats in the first past the FPTP, first past the post system. So as an alternative, there is a demand for proportional representation. What is proportional representation? In proportional representation, you will be allotted the seats in the legislative assembly or the parliament based on the number of votes, based on the percentage of votes that will be polled for you. Suppose 25% of votes are polled for you, 25% of seats will be allotted for you. Similar goes, see, it goes like that way. Okay. So we adopted FPTP system because it was easy, it is inexpensive, and it is difficult to follow proportional representation because of the illiteracy at the time of independence. So many other disadvantages and advantages. So next is duration of 2 houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Suppose some candidates get elected for Lok Sabha. For how many years will he be in the, will he remember as a member of parliament? 5 years, right? Even MLAs will be elected for 5 years. Whereas in the case of Rajya Sabha, it is 6 years. Okay. So in the case of Rajya Sabha, it is 6 years. So there is a, how do members get elected in the Rajya Sabha? I already told. So how do they change? Every 2 years. Every 2 years, 1/3 of the members retire. Every 2 years. So Rajya Sabha is a house, it is a permanent house. Lok Sabha dissolves after 5 years. Entirely a new Lok Sabha will be constituted. Entirely new members will be constituted after 5 years. However, Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. So it is not subject to dissolution. Nobody can dissolve. It remains always. So in the Rajya Sabha, 1/3, how do the members change? 1/3 of the members retire every 2 years. So every 2 years election will be held and the 1/3 of the members come in and 1/3 of the members goes out. Likewise, the election for Rajya Sabha takes place every 2 years. Okay. So we have Representation of People Act for the same. Next is duration of Lok Sabha. So duration of Lok Sabha, everybody knows it is 5 years. So next is, so let us move to membership of Parliament. Or what is the condition for membership of Parliament? So qualification. Suppose you have to be a member of Parliament. What are the qualifications? The first qualification is you must be a citizen of India and you must subscribe to a oath. What is the oath? To bear true faith in the Constitution of India and to uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India. So you know what is bearing faith in the Constitution. You trust the Constitution. That is first thing. To uphold the sovereignty and integrity means to uphold India's self-rule and also India's integrity. Integrity means nobody other person will cause the disrespect to the Indian territorial boundaries or to the Indian state. That is what our Indian cultural values, that is integrity. So these persons should adhere to or take this oath. Okay, next is to Rajya Sabha you must not be less than 30 years. To Lok Sabha you must not be 25 years. So our member of parliament, youngest member of parliament for BJP, Shri Tejasvi Surya, when he got elected, how old was he? He was just 28 years. So the age is 25 years. Okay. Even for State Legislative Assembly, the age is 25 years. However, for Rajya Sabha, it is 30 years. So, and he must possess other qualifications prescribed by the Parliament. So, what are the other qualifications? Where it is prescribed? It is prescribed by Representation of People Act, RPA, Representation of People Act 1951. Very important act. So, what does RPA 1951 says? It says he must be a elector of the particular constituency for Lok Sabha, and he must be elector in the state. He must be registered as an elector for a parliamentary constituency. So, in the Rajya Sabha, a person contesting an election for Rajya Sabha must be registered as an elector in the particular state. So, suppose, no, this provision was made dispensed with when 2003. So, you are registered as an elector anywhere in India. You can contest for Rajya Sabha seat from any state. Suppose, for example, Nirmala Sitharaman ji is registered as an elector in Tamil Nadu. However, she is elected to Rajya Sabha from where? Karnataka. So, she is not an elector in Karnataka. Even then, she is elected to Rajya Sabha. Okay. So, however, for Lok Sabha, you have to be registered as an elector for a particular parliamentary constituency in that particular state. So, no, this was also dispensed with 2003. So, you can, even if you are an elector in any particular constituency, you can contest anywhere. For example, in 2014, Shri Narendra Modi ji contested from Vadodara constituency and also Varanasi constituency, both the constituency. However, he was an elector only in Gujarat, not in UP. So, wherever you are, you can contest anywhere. So, earlier it was different. You have to be you have to be an elector in that particular state itself. Next is, so another condition is, if you have to contest for SC/ST seat, you have to belong to that particular caste. Next is disqualification. What are the conditions for disqualification? First is office of profit. Second is, if you hold office of profit, you are disqualified. I already told what is office of profit, from which you are deriving remuneration either from private entity or from government entity. So, you are interested in government contracts out of which you derive profits. You are holding office of profit. Okay. Next is, he must be, next condition is, if he is of unsound mind. If he is having severe psychological issues and unsound mind, he is disqualified. Next is if he is undischarged insolvent. Undischarged insolvent means, so if a person takes too much loans and doesn't repay it, he is declared as undischarged insolvent. Next is, if he is not a citizen of India or if he voluntarily gives up the citizenship of India, then he is disqualified. Next is, if he is disqualified under any other law. So, any other law means, again, RPA 1951 gives elaborate provisions for disqualification. What are the elaborate provisions? So, any corrupt practice, corruption is disqualified. Imprisonment for 2 or more years is disqualified. For example, Srimati Jayalalitha, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, was disqualified under RPA 1951 when she was convicted by Justice Kuna in Bangalore court. So she was awarded 6 years imprisonment. When 6 years imprisonment, which is more than 2 years, you are disqualified. Next is, he must have not failed to lodge an account. So whatever assets you are having, you must lodge it with you must give the account to the election commission. Next is, he must not have interest in the government contracts, which is thrown to air by all the MPs. Everybody is interested in government contracts. So actually that is, if he is interested, he is liable for disqualification. Okay. Next is, he must not have been dismissed from government service for corruption. He must not have been convicted for promoting enmity among the communities. Suppose if you promote Hindu-Muslim enmity and you are convicted, you are not eligible to be MP. Okay. There are many other provisions, out of which the main provision is defection. What is defection? Suppose you get elected from one particular party, let's say BJP, and later on you give up the membership of BJP and go to Congress. You are disqualified under Anti-Defection Law. When was this brought up? So this was brought up by Rajiv Gandhi government in 1985. Okay, Anti-Defection Law. So what does this law says? So this is in which schedule? 10th schedule of Constitution. Very important law. Means you can expect question any time. So when is this disqualification takes place? If he or she voluntarily gives up the membership of the political party. If so you are elected on a particular party's ticket. If you give up the membership, you are disqualified. So if you don't vote according to party direction, suppose Rajya Sabha election takes place, you don't vote for the candidate which your party says, rather you go and vote some other party, you are disqualified. And if any independently elected member, so there are independent candidates also, if he joins any political party, he is disqualified. So also nominated members joins a political party after 6 months, then he or she is disqualified. However, for 6 months he or she is not disqualified. So who decides this disqualification? With respect to Lok Sabha, it is the Speaker. With respect to Rajya Sabha, it is the Chairman. Next is vacating of seats. So when can the seats falls vacant? So seats falling vacant means what? So Lok Sabha has, I said, 545 seats presently, and Rajya Sabha has 245 seats. So these seats, when it gets vacant, it is called vacating of seats. So nobody occupies that seat, so it falls vacant. So when this vacation of seats, double membership. So if you are member of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha in one of the houses, in which house? So in that case, in the Rajya Sabha seat becomes vacant. So if you are a member of one house and get elected to other house, your membership in the first house gets vacant. So these are certain conditions. Next is disqualification. If a member becomes subject to any disqualification, I said what are the disqualification clauses. So if he is disqualified, that seat becomes vacant. A resignation, when a person resigns from a seat, then the seat falls vacant. Then absence. So I told there are 3 sessions in a year. Today budget was presented in the budget session. Please go through the budget. So the PIB has given the gist of both economic survey as well as the budget. So both these documents you can go through now. Later on you can pick up some coaching material where they have given the summary of the budget and the economic survey. Very important from the point of competitive exams, especially UPSC. Okay, next is absence. So suppose you are absent for 60 days from the sitting of the house. So you don't attend the parliament for 60 days continuously without permission, your seat falls vacant. So there are other cases also which you can look into. Next is oath and affirmation. Oath or affirmation. Once you get elected as a member of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, you have to undertake some oath. What is that oath? First is to bear, not the bear animal, but to bear, BEAR, to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India. That is the first oath. Second is to uphold true faith and allegiance to Constitution of India, which means you impose trust in the Constitution of India. That is the first condition. Second condition is to uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India. I already told that what it is. And to faithfully discharge the duty. So whatever duty is bestowed upon you, you have to discharge it. You have to do it faithfully. That is the third condition. Okay, next is salaries and allowances. Not very important from the point of examination, because these persons do not depend on salary most of the time. You know what happens. Presiding, not everybody is like that. There are actually very good parliamentarians also. Many people are like that. For example, Shri Manmohan Singh ji, Shri Pranab Mukherjee ji, even for example, the inspiration behind this program, Shri Subramanian Swami ji, have a clean hand. They have a clean record of in their political career. No corruption in their entire lifetime. Nobody can point a finger towards them. However, there are many people who make a merry out of this position also. They are a blot on democracy. So, you might know this fact. Today, 43% of parliamentarians are having criminal antecedents. Criminal antecedents means what? They are having some sort of criminal cases filed against them. 43% of parliamentarians, including Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Next comes, so the very important part, presiding officers of the parliament. Who are the presiding officers? So, first is the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Who is the present Speaker? Om Prakash Birla. Om Birla. So, election and tenure. So, what is the role, what is the election and tenure? So, the Speaker is elected by the members of Lok Sabha amongst themselves. So, once the first Lok Sabha is convened, there a pro tem Speaker will, so Lok Sabha is first convened, then there will be no Speaker. What happens? The senior most member of the Lok Sabha will be appointed by the President as the pro tem Speaker, PROTEM, pro tem Speaker. He facilitates the election of the real Speaker, long-term Speaker. So, among the members of the Lok Sabha, by simple majority, the Speaker will be elected. Okay. So, when do the office of Speaker falls vacant? When he resigns. When he resigns, when he ceases to be a member of Lok Sabha, that is, he becomes disqualified from holding the seat of Lok Sabha, or he resigns by himself. So, how does he resign? He resigns by writing to the Deputy Speaker. So, most of the time, students confuse that Speaker resigns by sending his resignation letter to the President. No, he resigns by giving this resignation to Deputy Speaker, and also his office falls vacant when he is removed by the resolution passed by a majority. Majority in this case is not simple majority, effective majority. What is effective majority? You know special majority, you know simple majority, you know special majority with the consent of states. There is one more majority which is called effective majority. What is effective majority? Suppose, let's say, Rajya Sabha today has 250 seats. Out of 250 seats, effective majority is exactly half plus 1. So, half of 250 is 125. 125 plus 1 is the effective majority. Okay, also called as absolute majority. So, next is role, power and functions. What is the role? So, he is the guardian of the powers of the Lok Sabha. So, he is also he is the guardian of privileges of the members. Okay, he is the principal spokesperson of the House. So, who is the principal spokesperson of Lok Sabha? It is the Speaker. Whatever happens in the Lok Sabha, Speaker is the principal spokesperson. He is the final authority. Okay. So he has lot of dignity and with respect to Lok Sabha, and also he is the supreme authority of the house. So where does he derive his power from? He derives his power from three authorities. One is Constitution of India. Second is rules of procedure. Rules of procedure means what? The rules based on which Lok Sabha business is conducted. Okay. Third is conduct of business of Lok Sabha, and the third is parliamentary conventions. Conventions means no written thing but based on practices as it has been practiced over time. Okay. Next is what is the powers and duties. He maintains the order and decorum. Order and decorum in the Lok Sabha. So he is responsible for the conducting of business. He is the final interpreter of the provisions of the Constitution, rules of procedure. So he is the final interpreter. Nobody other can interpret. He adjourns the house or suspends the meeting in the absence of quorum. What do you mean by quorum? Quorum means, I said, see, Rajya Sabha has 250 members. If the number of members present is less than 10%, that is, if the number of numbers present is less than 25, then we say lack of quorum. Quorum means 10%. At least 10% members should be there. Who decides it? It is decided by the Speaker with respect to Lok Sabha. Next is, he does not vote in first instance. First instance means, so whenever a bill is placed, he does not vote first time. But however, the number of votes are hanged equal, then he can vote. That vote is called as casting vote. Casting vote only when the number of votes are equal among the parties. So joint sitting. Joint sitting I have already discussed. Whenever a bill which passes from one house to another house, suppose Lok Sabha passes a bill and it goes to the Rajya Sabha, and Rajya Sabha disagrees the bill or doesn't send the bill back to Lok Sabha, then it is believed that a deadlock has taken place. In that instance, a joint sitting is convened. Who convenes the joint sitting? It is the President. So who presides over that joint sitting? It is not the chairman of Rajya Sabha but the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Next is, he can allow a secret sitting. You know that the proceedings of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are telecasted on Lok Sabha TV and Rajya Sabha TV. So they don't telecast the entire thing. Whenever chairs are thrown, whenever there is shouting, they clip that. My opinion is that should also be telecasted, because we have the right to know our legislatures, their behavior in the parliament. So he or she can allow the secret sitting. Secret sitting means no other person will be there except the members. Next is, he decides whether a bill is money bill or not. So I already told what is money bill in the previous class, which has provisions with respect to the Consolidated Fund of India. What is Consolidated Fund of India? So all your taxes, fees and everything, all the payments of Government of India goes into this Consolidated Fund of India. Suppose you open a bank account, all your money is saved in the particular bank account. Likewise, Government of India has a account. What is this account called? It is Consolidated Fund of India. All the taxes, all the payments, all the fees goes and is saved in this Consolidated Fund of India. So a bill which deals with provisions of the Consolidated of India or tax provisions is called as the money bill. It is decided by the Speaker. However, recently even Aadhaar bill, the Speaker said, is money bill. Nobody knows how the Aadhaar bill can become a money bill. Okay. So he decides, the Speaker decides on the disqualification. So disqualification I already told. What is disqualification? So one who is not eligible to hold the post of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. With respect to Lok Sabha, who decides disqualification? It is the Speaker, only in the cases of defection. Okay, he is the ex officio chairman of Inter-Parliamentary Group. That is not so important. Next is, so we know there are many parliamentary committees. We have ad hoc committees, we have standing committees. What is parliamentary committee? I am going to discuss in the chapter on parliamentary committees. So this chairman of these committees is appointed by the speaker. Okay, next is independence and impartiality of the office. So it is a office of high prestige, position and authority. Okay, so he is provided with a security of tenure. That means 5 years nobody can touch him. His salaries are fixed by the Parliament. They are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. This concept of charged upon is very, very important. What is charged upon Consolidated Fund of India? Whenever they say charged upon Consolidated Fund of India, suppose High Court judges, Supreme Court judges, all their salaries are charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. What does it mean? It means their salaries are not voted in the budget. They are not voted upon. So I already said, demand for grants. Demand for grants means every ministry demands certain money to be taken out of the Consolidated Fund of India for expenses for various schemes and programs. Likewise, the salaries of posts like President, Prime Minister, and also not Prime Minister, President, High Court judges, Supreme Court judges, CAG, Election Commissioner, so and also this speaker post. So their salaries are charged upon CFI. Charged upon is they are not subject to every year voting. Nobody can vote on this. So it is fixed. Next is, so his work, his conduct cannot be discussed on the floor of the Lok Sabha. It cannot be criticized. It is with respect to the dignity. Nobody can criticize the speaker in Lok Sabha. Next is, he has the power of regulating the procedure in conducting the business. He can vote in the second instance, that is casting vote. I already told that. He has a very high position in order of precedence. This order of precedence is very important when you, with respect to, not with respect to UPSC, but with respect to state or other lower level exams. In the order of preference, president is at the first position. Second position, it is the vice president. Likewise, speaker is also having a high position. So order of precedence, it is given in the last page of last chapter of Lakshmikant. You can go and look. Next comes the office of Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha. What is Deputy Speaker? Deputy Speaker sits in the seat of Speaker whenever Speaker is absent. Okay, so this Deputy Speaker can vacate his office in. So you know the concept of Deputy Speaker now. So he is not a subordinate authority to Speaker. He is just like any other member when the Speaker is there. When the Speaker is sitting on the chair of Speaker, when the Speaker is sitting on the chair, he is just like any other member. However, when the Speaker is absent, this Deputy Speaker goes and sits on the chair of Speaker and conducts the business of Lok Sabha, right? Okay, so he also ceases to be a Deputy Speaker in the same conditions as like Speaker, like when he ceases to be a member of Lok Sabha, when he resigns by writing to Speaker and other conditions. Okay, so he performs the duties. He performs the duties when Speaker is not there. Speaker is ill or Speaker is having some other function. Then he performs the duties. Okay. Next is, so there is here one interesting concept is there. What is this concept? Up to 10th Lok Sabha, Speaker used to come from the ruling party. Speaker and Deputy Speaker both used to come from the ruling party. Up to which Lok Sabha? 10th Lok Sabha. What is the present Lok Sabha? What is the present Lok Sabha? It is 17th Lok Sabha. Now it is 17th Lok Sabha. Okay. So up to 10th Lok Sabha, Speaker and Deputy Speaker used to come from the same party. However, from 11th Lok Sabha, there is a convention, parliamentary convention. So now the deputy speaker comes from the major opposition party. So this is what with respect to the speaker. So this office of speaker and deputy speaker is not new to the constitution. It was already there in the 1919 Act. Which Act? Montagu-Chelmsford Act. I discussed in the first class. Who is the first speaker? Who is the first speaker? So it is asked in various state level exams. It is G.V. Mavalankar. Who is the first speaker of India? G.V. Mavalankar. Okay. Panel of chairpersons of Lok Sabha. What is panel of chairperson of Lok Sabha? Suppose both the speaker and speaker and deputy speaker are absent. They are somewhere else. They are on vacation or they are gone to some foreign country for holiday. No, they don't do like that. Whenever session is there, they will be in the country. Suppose they are ill or engaged in some other preoccupation. Then panel of chairpersons of Lok Sabha. So there will be a panel of chairpersons elected by the members of the parliament, member of the Lok Sabha themselves. So when both the speaker and deputy speaker are absent, these members of the panel of chairperson sit on the chair of speaker and conduct the business. So this is all with respect to panel of chairpersons. I already discussed what is speaker pro tem. When new Lok Sabha is convened, the senior member will be appointed as the speaker pro tem in order to administer the oath for the members and also elect a new speaker to the Lok Sabha. Okay, next comes presiding officer of the parliament, chairman of Rajya Sabha. So who is the chairman of Rajya Sabha? It is the Vice President of India, presently Sri Venkaiah Naidu ji. So Vice President is the ex officio. Ex officio means out of the authority of his office. You become the Vice President without doing any other work. You can go and sit as a chairman. You need not have any other pre-qualification. Okay. So office of the chairman of Rajya Sabha. So it is the Vice President. So he ceases to be a chairman only when he is removed as a Vice President. So the removal of Vice President I have already discussed on the chapter of Vice President. Next is there are certain differences between Speaker and the Chairman. What is the difference? Speaker decides whether a bill is money bill or not. Whether Chairman doesn't have such privilege. Next is Speaker sits over the joint sitting. However, that is not with respect to the Chairman. Okay. So the Vice President cannot sit as a chairman when a resolution for his removal. So we are removing a Vice President, then that person cannot sit on the chair of the Rajya Sabha. Okay. Next, salaries and all is not very important. Next is Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. What is Deputy Chairman of the post of Deputy Chairman? He is not a subordinate office to Chairman. So whenever Vice President acts as President or Vice President is fallen ill or he is on some vacation or some preoccupied job, so this Deputy Chairman sits on the seat of the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. So he also vacates his office when he ceases to be a member of Rajya Sabha or he resigns by writing to the Chairman. These conditions is similar to the office of Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Okay. So next is the Chairman also cannot vote in first instance. He can cast a casting vote. Next is panel of vice persons for Rajya Sabha, vice chairperson for Rajya Sabha. Suppose both the chairperson and vice chairperson or deputy chairman are absent, then there will be a panel of vice chairperson elected by the Rajya Sabha themselves. So any one of them will go and sit on the chair. Okay. Now here one condition is important. So both the panel of vice chairperson for Rajya Sabha as well as panel of vice chairperson for Lok Sabha. So when the office of speaker and deputy speaker, if they are only on some temporary preoccupation, any of these members can go and sit on the chair. However, when the office is vacant itself, that is, there is no speaker and deputy speaker, then these members cannot sit on the chair of the chairperson or speaker. So then who can who can become a chairperson or deputy chairperson? So then such member who is determined by the president. So during that time, whoever president appoints as for that purpose can act as a chairman or speaker. Next is Secretariat of Parliament. So you know there are, what is secretariat? What is secretariat? Secretariat means which has the secretaries, which houses the secretaries. All this paperwork, all the files, all the bills, resolutions, motions, and the the forming of timetable, and also various other aspects is headed by the secretariat. All this work, it is a office. It is a office which houses the secretariat. There is a Lok Sabha secretary and a Rajya Sabha secretary. So this office is not very important from exam perspective. So secretariat of each house is headed by Secretary General. The post is called Secretary General, right? Okay. Next is leaders in the Parliament. Okay. Who is the leader of house in Lok Sabha? Who is the leader of house in Lok Sabha? It is Prime Minister. So the leader of house means Prime Minister if he is a member of Lok Sabha. Suppose if he is a member of Rajya Sabha, suppose the Prime Minister is a member of Rajya Sabha, then whoever is appointed as a leader of house by the Prime Minister will be the leader of house for Lok Sabha. So during the tenure of Manmohan Singh ji, who was the member of Rajya Sabha, Pranab Mukherjee ji was the leader of the house in Lok Sabha, though he was not a Prime Minister. Okay. Next is leader of opposition. So this position is called as majority leader in USA, leader of opposition. So there is a condition. What is that condition? Any party which secures more than 10% of seats is eligible for appointing the leader of opposition. So earlier the post of leader of opposition was not constitutionally recognized. So Constitution doesn't provide for leader of opposition. However, a Constitutional Amendment Act or a statutory recognition was given to leader of opposition. Statutory recognition means what? By a law. A law formulated by a parliament gave a recognition for leader of opposition. So actually he is equal to cabinet minister rank. Cabinet minister rank. He gets salaries, allowances, security, and various other privileges. Okay, in USA it is called as minority leader. So I already discussed in the concept of Prime Minister or Council of Minister. In Britain there is a concept called shadow cabinet. So each minister is shadowed or absorbed by a member in the opposition party. So that concept is not there in India. Okay, next is the office of the whip. Whip means not the whip which you use to hit someone, rather it is a office. So what is it is an office with respect to the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. What is the function of this whip? So this whip, every political party has a whip. Okay, what does he do? He is appointed to assist the floor leader, that is the leader of the house in both the houses. So he ensures that the party members, so he ensures the attendance of party members. Suppose these parliamentarians have so many functions, they have to attend so many functions, there are so many parties, so many marriages, so many other work. So giving up all that work, those members should come and attend the parliament. Who ensures that? In each party it is the office of whip. So if you don't respect the whip, you will be disqualified from the party. Okay, next is the sessions of parliament. Sessions of parliament. I have already told we have 3 sessions. What are the 3 sessions? One is the budget session, second is monsoon session, third is winter session. So summoning. Summoning means what? To convene the parliament. That is, these members will be somewhere else, parliament will be absent, parliament will be in recess. The non-functioning phase is called as recess. So parliament will be in recess, so the parliament work has to start. So the starting of the parliament work in the session is called as summoning. Who summons it? So it is the president. On whose advice? On the advice of the prime minister. So the president summons from time to time. Each summoning will be done for each session. Okay, adjournment. Adjournment means what? So who adjourns? It is the speaker in the case of Lok Sabha and chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha. So a session. So in the individual session, this session runs for some 60 days. This runs for some 30 days. This sorry, I am going to give you the exact figure. So budget session runs from February to May. February to May. It is running now. Today budget was presented. Monsoon session runs from July to September. July to September. Winter session runs from November to December. So in each individual session, this parliament meets every day, right? So on the weekends or some during holidays or at the end of the day, how the meeting of the parliament ends? So the speaker adjourns. Adjourns means end of the day, end of that particular meeting. So it's not the end of the whole session, it is that particular meeting is ended. Okay, so next is the concept of adjournment signed day. Adjournment signed day means, so whenever adjournment is said, done, the speaker says, we are adjourning for a moment, this meeting is ending now, however, we are going to convene at tomorrow 11 AM. However, when adjournment signed day means, the speaker or the chairman doesn't give a particular time of reconvening. So they just say the session is adjourned, that's all. They don't give a particular time for reconvening. That is adjournment signed day. Prorogation. What is prorogation? Prorogation means ending of the session itself. So at the end of May, at the end of September, at the end of December, the speaker and chairman do adjournment signed day. Then within a few days, who does the prorogation? Prorogation is done by the president. Okay. President does the prorogation. Next comes the concept of dissolution. Dissolution means, which house is subject to dissolution? Only the Lok Sabha is subject to dissolution. Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved because it is a permanent house. Okay. So automatic dissolution. When automatic dissolution? After 5 years. After every 5 years, automatic dissolution takes place. Next is whenever the president dissolves. So when does he dissolve? He dissolves based on the recommendation of the prime minister. So here one very important concept is there. So that is the difference between adjournment and prorogation. Adjournment and prorogation, what is the difference? So it only terminates, adjournment only terminates a sitting. This meeting, we are meeting today, after some 1 hour I am going to end this meeting. So this is adjournment. However, when I end the course, at the end of the course, when I end the complete course, that is prorogation. Okay. So prorogation not only terminates a sitting but a session itself. So adjournment is done by presiding officer, prorogation by president. So adjournment doesn't affect any bills. However, prorogation affects certain bills and motions. We are going to see what it is. So the important concept is whenever prorogation is done, a bill pending in Lok Sabha lapses. So a bill. So you know what is a bill? It is a law, legal instrument. So government wants to do some law. It is given in the form of bill. So that bill on prorogation ends. Okay, that lapses. So one more bill lapses. What is that bill? A bill passed by Lok Sabha but pending in Rajya Sabha. So when the Lok Sabha is prorogued, a bill has been passed by Lok Sabha already, but it has been sent to Rajya Sabha. So in Rajya Sabha it is pending. That also lapses. So in certain cases the bills does not lapse. What are the cases? So what I am talking is not with respect to prorogation, with respect to dissolution. When dissolution happens, that is after every 5 years, dissolution happens, a bill pending in Lok Sabha lapses, a bill passed by Lok Sabha but sent to Rajya Sabha also lapse. However, four categories of bills does not lapse. What are the 4 categories? A bill not passed by both the houses due to disagreement. A joint sitting is convened. So if the joint sitting is convened, that particular bill does not pass. A bill pending in Rajya Sabha but not passed by Lok Sabha. A bill is still pending in the Rajya Sabha. It has not been sent to Lok Sabha. That does not lapse. And also a bill passed by both the houses but is pending at President for his assent. That also does not lapse. And also a bill by both the houses, a bill passed by both the houses but returned by President. I already told President has the provision for returning the bill. So if he has returned the bill, then also that particular bill does not lapse. These 6 conditions are very, very important from your UPSC prelims perspective. Also state level exams prelims perspective. Quorum, already told what is quorum. 10% of attendance. Okay. So it is 55 members in Lok Sabha and 25 members in Rajya Sabha. Voting in the house. How does voting take place? So on the conclusion of a debate, so voting is done by, so they say on the conclusion of a debate. So a debate takes place in the parliament on some issue. Okay. On the conclusion of the debate, the speaker will put the debate for vote. The speaker will put the question and invite. So a motion will be there. Every debate, I am going to discuss what is a motion and resolution in some time. So a motion, every debate will be based on some motion. A motion is a document. So after the end of the debate on that particular motion, when the debate ends, so that motion is put to vote. So what they say, so the speaker says, who are in the favor of this bill should say aye. They say aye. Whoever say, so if the number of, and whoever is not in favor, they say no. So if the number of ayes, A by E, if the number of ayes is aye, the speaker say the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it, and the motion is passed. And if it is no, then they say the noes have it, the noes have it, the noes have it, and the bill does not, the motion does not pass. That is how the voting is done. Okay. Next is, if the voting is challenged, then there is a separate procedure. So the lobby is cleared, Then there is a again the ayes and noes will be done, and also there is a provision of electronic voting. Okay, so that is enough. Next is language in the parliament. So what is the national language of India? So actually there is no national language in India, rather all the 22 languages in the 8th schedule. All the 22 language in the 8th schedule of the Constitution can be said as the national languages. However, we have a official language. What is the official language? It is Hindi and English. Okay. So what is the language in the parliament? So both by Official Language Act, English and Hindi, both are the languages of parliament. So next comes the concept of rights of ministers and attorney general. So this attorney general, who is appointed by the president, he is not the member of parliament. Also, suppose a member is from Rajya Sabha and he wants to sit in Lok Sabha debate, he can do so. Even the attorney general, though not a member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, can go and sit in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both. However, he doesn't have the power to vote. Next is lame duck session. Lame duck session means what? So once the Lok Sabha is dissolved, I mean before convening of the new Lok Sabha, suppose election not before dissolving. So election, see now 2019 election was held, right? So before convening of the new Lok Sabha, whenever the old Lok Sabha is sitting, suppose let's assume the old Lok Sabha is sitting and many members would not have got elected in the new Lok Sabha. So that particular session is called as lame duck session, not very important. Okay, next is the concept of devices of parliamentary proceeding, very, very important. Devices, question hour, recently question hour was suspended during the COVID, right? So what is question hour? During this, basically simple here. So it means various questions will be posed to the government. By whom? By private members, by even the party members of the parliament. So there are three types of questions. What are the three types? One is starred question, another is unstarred question, another is, one more is the short notice question. So what is the difference? Starred question requires a oral answer by the minister. So star question means the minister belonging to that particular department should give a oral reply by mouth. In unstarred question, he can give a written answer. Written answer. Short notice question means within 10 days, they give a notice of 10 days to the minister, and within that 10 days, the question is asked, that is short notice question. These are the concepts. Next is 0 hour. 0 hour means what? So the hour starting at exactly 12 p.m. So 12 p.m. is called as 0 hour. So this is only seen in India. This concept of 0 hour is seen in India, not anywhere else. So it is an informal device. See, in the question hour begins at 11 a.m. and goes up to 12 p.m. 12 noon. Okay. So what happens is, so here formal questions are asked in question hour, the question hour. However, 0 hour informal, it is an informal device. So here any question can be asked. So what are the questions? Various matters of urgent public importance. Suppose there is a protest. So farmer protest was there. So it is public importance. So without any notice, without any star or unstar, the question can be asked. So next are the concept of motions, very important. So every proceeding in the parliament takes place through motion. Without a motion, no proceedings take place. Suppose somebody wants to talk on a debate, somebody wants to talk on some issue, somebody wants to give a notice to some minister, somebody wants to introduce a bill, anything in the parliament happens through motion. There are two types of thing. One is motion, second is resolution. So what is a motion? So motion, the definition goes like this: no discussion on a matter of general public importance can take place except on a motion. Okay. So on this motion, the House expresses its opinion, whether they agree to the motion or disagree. So there are many types of motion. So what are the motions? One is substantive motion. Substantive motion means it is a self-contained motion. That means entire issue, whatever, suppose farm bill or any other issue, for CAA, let us say Constitutional Citizenship Amendment Act. Okay. So the entire issue is hidden in one particular motion, and so there is no need for any other explanation. That particular motion is called substantive motion. Next is, so it is an independent device. So what are the issues that can be taken up in substantive motion? Like removal of president, removal of election commissioner, and many other issues. Next is substitute motion. So it is a substitution of original motion. Suppose a substantive motion is introduced, somebody wants to replace this motion, then substitute motion is introduced. Okay, it is always introduced with respect to a original motion. Next is subsidiary motion. Subsidiary motion means what? So it is also introduced with respect to a original motion. Original motion is already there. Like suppose a substantive motion is already introduced, with respect to that motion a subsidiary motion is introduced. So there are three subcategories of subsidiary motion. One is ancillary motion. What is ancillary motion? It is used as a regular way of proceeding with the various kinds of business. So various businesses take place in the parliament, right? So in the parliament, various things take place, like introduction of bill, debate, questioning, throwing of chairs. So those are not businesses. So formal businesses, various formal businesses take place in the parliament. So this ancillary motion is used for the conduct of regular business. Regular business conducting is done through ancillary motion. Next is superseding motion. So superseding motion means, suppose a motion, substantive motion is introduced. So when the superseding motion is passed, this motion gets suspended and the superseding motion takes place, takes hold. Next is amendment. So amendment means, suppose a bill is passed, there are some provision which the particular member doesn't like, he moves the amendment motion. When the amendment motion is passed, that particular provision is removed. Okay. So these are the various kinds of motions. However, there are many different kinds of motions as well. One is a closure motion. Next is a closure motion. So I have discussed only the principal categories. However, I am going to discuss the actual categories. So what are the actual categories? Closure motion. Closure motion means a motion moved by the member to cut short the debate. So the debate is taking place. So that member says the time is enough. We are going to close this debate. So there are many types of closure. What is the many type of closure? Simple closure. Matter has been discussed sufficiently. We are going to end this. Simple closure. Closure by compartment. So we are going to close the particular bill by compartment by compartment. So by clause by clause. That is simple closure. Next is congruent closure. Congruent closure means, very important things will be discussed, not unimportant things will be skipped over. Bulletin closure means having discussed or not discussed, everything will be closed at once. That is bulletin closure. Next is privilege motion. So privilege motion means, so somebody violates the privilege of the house, somebody lies in the parliament, somebody gives wrong facts, then a privilege motion is moved. It can be moved both against the minister as well as, so mostly it is moved against the minister. Okay, so next is calling attention motion. So it is moved by a member who wants to call attention. So something has happened, So the Parliament has to focus on this. Then calling attention motion is introduced. Next is adjournment motion. So already discussed the concept of adjournment. Now is the concept of adjournment motion. So it is introduced to draw the attention of the Parliament on a definite matter of urgent public importance. Urgent public importance, some issue is there, adjournment motion is introduced. However, this can be introduced only if 50 members of the Parliament, 50 members support it. Okay, so there are many conditions with respect to adjournment motion. You can look into the book. Next is no confidence motion. So I already said under Article 75, the government is responsible, the Council of Ministers is responsible to the Lok Sabha. So when they lose the confidence, when they lose the confidence, when they don't hold the majority, then no confidence motion is introduced. If the no confidence motion is introduced, then the government, if it is passed, then the government has to resign. Okay, there is one more category of motion. It is called censure motion. Censure. So censoring, censure. So what is censure? So there are differences between censure motion and no confidence motion. So censure motion should say its reason. It should give the reason for its introduction in the Lok Sabha. However, no confidence motion need not give any reason for its introduction. So censure motion can be moved against an individual minister or a group of ministers or the entire council of ministers. However, no confidence motion can be moved only against the entire council of ministers. So it is moved for, the censure motion is moved for censuring or censure. What is censure? Censure means actually it holds a meaning like punish, or it is like condemn, criticize. So that is what is meant by censuring. So censure motion can be moved against the Council of Ministers for specific policies or actions. So in the no confidence motion is moved to entice the confidence of Lok Sabha that you have old majority or not. So that is tested by no confidence motion. Next is if censure motion is passed in the Lok Sabha, the Lok Sabha need not resign. However, NCM, no confidence is passed, the ministers have to resign. Council of Ministers must resign. Likewise, we have motion of thanks. What is motion of thanks? In the motion of thanks, every Parliament, every new year, at the beginning of the session, President makes a speech. So once the President makes the speech, a motion of thanks is passed by both the houses. If the motion of thanks doesn't pass, then also the Council of Ministers have to resign. It shows that there is no confidence in the Council of Ministers. Okay. Next is there are many other motions like no day at a named motion, dilatory motion. Dilatory motion means it dilates the provisions of original motion. Next is point of order. Point of order means it is very important. So when the proceedings of the House do not follow the normal course, so the proceedings have to follow in a particular order, in a dignified way. If it does not follow in a normal course, then point of order can be moved to bring back the proceedings to the normal course from a abnormal course. Like suppose someone is throwing chair, someone is shouting disproportionately, then point of order can be moved and then the normal course should be restored. Okay, next is there are many discussions. So there are many discussions. So what are the discussions? Half an hour discussion. Half an hour discussion is there, which means it takes place for half an hour. So next is short duration discussion. Short duration discussion takes place for 2 hours. Special mention. So there is one category called special mention. What is special mention? So it is a matter which is not a point of order, which cannot be raised during question hour, half an hour discussion anywhere. A matter which cannot be raised anywhere can be discussed under special mention. So I forgot to discuss resolutions. So what is resolution? So the member can move a resolution to draw the attention of the House to a particular matter of general public interest. So here there are many types of resolution: private members resolution, government resolution, statutory. Private member means who is not part of government. Government resolution means which is introduced by a minister. Statutory resolution means so it can be moved by member or minister. It is always tabled with respect to a constitution or act, amendment of provision of constitution or a act. The statutory means act. Statutory means law. So when the statutory regulation is resolution is introduced, it is always with respect to an act or constitution. Okay. With respect to how are resolutions different from motions? Very, very important. So all resolutions come in the category of motions. All resolutions come in the category of which motions? Substantive motion. All resolutions are substantive motions. That means they are self-contained. They need not have any other explanation. Okay. However, so every resolution is a particular type of motion. So every resolution is a particular type of motion. However, all motions need not necessarily be substantive. So motions I already discussed. There are substantive motion, substitute motion, subsidiary motion, ancillary motion, superseding motion, and many other motions. So all motions need not be substantive. Okay. So all motions need not be put to vote. However, resolutions must be put to vote. So you can consider resolution as a higher order of motion. Resolution as a higher order of motion. Okay. Next is youth parliament. Youth parliament. So it is conducted by the parliament to India's whip conference to make the children aware with the proceedings of the parliament, to acquaint them with the proceedings of the parliament. So next comes legislative procedure in the parliament. What is the legislative procedure? So there are many types of bills introduced in the parliament: ordinary bills, money bills, financial bills, and constitutional amendment bills. 4 types of bills: ordinary bills, ordinary bills, money bills, finance bills, and constitutional amendment bills. So what is the procedure with respect to ordinary bills? Every bill either introduced by a private member or a minister goes through first reading. First reading. What is first reading? So in the first reading, no discussion on the bill takes place. It is it is just introduced in the bill. So the member who is introducing asks for a leave of the house. Leave means permission. So they ask for permission and introduce the bill. That just the introduction of the bill constitutes the first reading of the bill. Later on, that bill is published in the Gazette of India. Okay, next comes the second reading. Second reading, during the second reading, very, very important. During the second reading, first stage is stage of general discussion. Here, the printed copy of the bill is distributed to all the members. What they do is, so the House, once the bill is distributed, the House can take up the matter immediately. They can refer it to select committee. They can refer it to joint committee. I am going to discuss what is select committee, joint committee, everything later on. Okay, or they may circulate the bill for public opinion. Okay, next is, once the general, this constitutes the general discussion. They are going to generally discuss the provisions of the bill. Then if they refer the bill to the committee stage, unfortunately most of the bills nowadays are not being referred to the committees, less than 25% of the bill. However, before 2014, more than 75% bill was referred to the committees. Now, due to paucity of time, due to COVID and many other issues, they are not referring the bill to the committees. What committees? Parliamentary committees. I am going to discuss the committees later on. So in these committees, what they do, they are going to discuss the provision of the bills in detail. They are going to take technical expertise. They are going to discuss clause by clause. Next comes the stage of consideration stage. In this stage, That bill is considered clause by clause. Every single clause, every single chapter is considered, every single provision is considered by the Parliament and the voting is done. Last stage is third reading. In the third reading is the confined. Third reading is confined to either they accept the bill or they reject the bill. Third reading is with respect to acceptance of the bill or rejection of the bill. Okay. So once the bill is passed in the first house, it is sent to the second house. If it is passed in the Lok Sabha, it is sent to the Rajya Sabha. If it is passed in the Rajya Sabha, it is sent to the Lok Sabha. So what the other house can do? They can either give assent to the bill, they may reject the bill, they may return the bill, or they may not take any action. So in the certain cases, joint parliamentary session is convened by the President. So after this, if the second house passes the bill without any amendment or first house accepts the bill, then it goes to the President for assent, or else joint sitting is convened. Okay. So the President, once the President assent the bill, President may give his assent, he may withhold his assent, or he may return the bill. So I have discussed it in the chapter on President. So once if he returns the bill ends, or if he assents, it becomes a law. So next is the difference between public bill and private bill. So public bill is introduced by a minister. Private bill is introduced by a private member who is not a part of government. Okay. So public bill reflects the policies of the government. So government policies. So government schemes, government programs is reflected. So private bill, stand of the opposition party is reflected. So public bill will definitely pass, higher chance of passing. Private bill, lesser chance of passing. So if the public bill is rejected, then no confidence motion can be moved to test the majority. So private bill is fails, no such provision. So introduction of public bill, just 7 days notice to the speaker that they are going to introduce the bill. However, introduction of private bill, one requires 1 month notice. So who drafts the public bill? Concerned department. Suppose telecom bill is being regulated, the telecom ministry. So he is going to draft the bill. However, private bill, the particular member has to draft. It is on his burden. So next, money bill and financial bill 1 and 2. So what is money bill? Article 110 speaks about money bill. Article 110, very, very important. What are the provisions in the money bill? So which categories, which matters fall in the money bill? So the imposition, abolition or alteration of tax. So the regulation of borrowing by union government, custody of consolidated fund of India. So appropriating money out of consolidated fund of India. So all these matters fall under the money bill. I already discussed it earlier. Okay. So next is, so the constitution lays down a special procedure for passing the money bill. We are going to discuss what is the special procedure. Before that, we are going to discuss what is the financial bill 1 and 2. So financial bill 1, article 117. Article 117 1. Financial bill 2, article 117 3. Not very important, but let's discuss, because we need to have a hold on all the concepts. So financial bill is a bill that contains not only matters in it contains all the matters in article 110. I already told what are the matters in article 110, consolidated fund of India, taxes and all other things. So it contains some extra matters. What are the matters? It contains borrowing clause. So it also contains borrowing clause. It is so before this we will discuss ordinary bill and money bill, because there are many provisions which we will not discuss, which you will not understand if I don't explain the difference. So money bill. So money bill can be introduced directly in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. However, ordinary bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. However, money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. So ordinary bill, private member or minister can introduce. Money bill, only a minister can introduce. Ordinary bill ordinary bill can be introduced without the recommendation of president. Private bill, public bill can be introduced, or money bill can be introduced only with the recommendation of the president. So the ordinary bill can be rejected or amended by the Rajya Sabha. However, money bill, nothing can be done by the Rajya Sabha. So money bill, ordinary bill, Rajya Sabha can hold it for maximum period of 6 months. So money bill only for 14 days. Next is, so the ordinary bill does not require any certification by speaker. However, money bill requires certification by the speaker saying that this is a money bill. So next is with respect to president. This with respect to money bill, the president has to So with respect to money bill, there is no concept of deadlock, because even if Rajya Sabha doesn't agree, it is deemed to be passed. However, ordinary bill, deadlock happens, joint sitting will be convened. So ordinary bill defeat may lead to resignation of the government if it is introduced by a government. Money bill by a minister. Money bill defeat, definitely government will fall. Okay. Money bill, ordinary bill can be rejected or returned by for consideration by the president. However, the money bill can be, but it cannot be returned. So ordinary bill can be returned by the prime minister, president for the parliament, wherever the money bill cannot be returned. So now let us discuss the financial bill 1 and 2. So financial bill not only contains the matters, so it also contains matters in Article 110. Along with it, it contains borrowing clause. So it is similar to money bill in what aspects? So it can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. I am talking about financial bill 1. It can be introduced only in Lok Sabha, and it can be introduced only on the recommendation of the president. This is the similarity with respect to financial bill 1. So with respect to financial bill 2, what is the difference? So it contains provisions involving expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India. So it contains expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. However, not the matters in Article 110. So financial bill 1 may contain matters in 110. Financial bill 2 will not contain matters in 110. 110 is what? Money bill. Okay. So one more difference is financial bill 2 can be introduced in either house of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Okay, this is with respect to the bills. Next is the concept of joint sitting of two houses. So joint sitting. When the joint sitting is convened, if the bill is rejected by the other house, that is Lok Sabha passes a bill, so Rajya Sabha rejects it, then joint sitting can be convened. So if the houses have finally disagreed as to the amendment to be made in the bill, suppose Lok Sabha passes a bill and Rajya Sabha amends it and Lok Sabha doesn't agree to the amendment, then also joint sitting can be convened. So also suppose Lok Sabha passes a bill or Rajya Sabha passes a bill, it sends it to Lok Sabha doesn't take any action for 6 months, then also it is said that deadlock is deemed to have taken place, and then also joint sitting can be convened. So in joint sitting, who presides over the joint sitting? It is the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay. So next comes budget in Parliament. Today budget has taken place. So it is a apt moment for all of us to discuss budget. So budget in constitution is not called as budget, where it is called as annual financial statement. The particular article is Article 112. Article 112 speaks about the annual financial statement. So the budget gives the expenditure for every financial year. When does the financial year start? It starts from 1st April and ends on 31st March. So this entire expenditure for this particular year is given in budget. So earlier budget used to take place in the end of February. So earlier also there was a concept of railway budget. Now railway budget is merged with the general budget, and also the day is preponed. Now the budget is introduced on the today 1st of February budget is introduced. Also, who causes the budget to be laid? It is the laid in the Parliament. It is the President. Okay. So budget in the Parliament. So budget contains estimates of receipts and expenditure. What is receipt? Whatever the money the government has got, that is got taxes, fees and payments, various other things, that is receipts. Whatever the government spends, that is called expenditure, salary and schemes on various things. Okay. So along with this, the budget contains estimates of revenue and capital receipts, ways and means to raise the revenue, estimates of expenditure. So estimates of revenue and capital receipts means what? Revenue receipt and capital receipt we are going to discuss in the chapter of economy, in the concept, in the session on economy. Next is ways and means to raise revenue. So in what way revenue can be raised, that is also discussed in the budget. Estimates of expenditure. What is the estimate for next 1 year? That is discussed in the budget. And also details of actual expenditure and receipts, that is also discussed. Along with the economic policy is also discussed. Okay. So constitutional provisions with respect to budget, it is Article 112. So the President every year causes to be laid before the Parliament the budget. No demand for grant. You know what is demand for grant? Shall be made. No demand for grant shall be made except on the recommendation of the President. Only when the President says demand for grant can be done, demand for grant can be introduced. No money shall be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India. So Consolidated Fund of India, money will be there. It cannot be withdrawn except by appropriation by law. That is, only by legal means you can take the money out of it. That is called as appropriation by law. No money bill imposing tax shall be introduced in the Parliament except on the recommendation of the President. I already told, money bill is introduced only with the recommendation of the President. So no tax can be levied with respect without the law. So without the authority of law, no tax can be levied without the authority of law. Only when law is there you can levy the tax. Next is next concept is the Constitution has also defined relative roles or position of houses with respect to the budget. So they define money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha, same thing what we have discussed. Rajya Sabha has no power with respect to, so this demand for grants, already told, demand for grants. So these ministries give demand for grants. Who votes on this demand for grants? It is only the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha cannot vote on demand for grants. Important from prelims perspective. So even money bill or financial bill cannot be introduced in Financial Bill 1, cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. So money bill and financial bill, the Rajya Sabha has to send back to Lok Sabha within 14 days. So along with this, the budget shall distinguish between expenditure on revenue account and other accounts. Other account means capital account. What is revenue account? What is capital account? Discussion in economic class. Okay. expenditure shall charged on the consolidated fund of India. Already discussed what is charged upon. That is not subject to debate. So charged expenditure. What are the charged expenditure? It is given here in detail. So President's salary, salary of Speaker, salary of Deputy Speaker, judges and so many other authorities. Okay. Stages in the charged expenditure. I discussed what is stages in the enactment of the budget. So first is the presentation of budget that has happened today. So this is the auspicious moment for that. So it is a coincidence that this class is happening on the same day on the introduction of budget, so that it is useful for you today. So the stages in the enactment, the first stage is presentation of the budget. So the presentation of budget has taken place today. Second is general discussion. After the presentation, the parliament, both the houses are going to generally discuss about the budget. What are the provisions, what are the expenditures, what is the demand for grant, so many other things, in which program has demanded what money, everything will be discussed. Next is scrutiny by departmental committees. So first we are going to discuss presentation of budget. Presentation of budget. So today it has taken place. So the finance minister presents the budget by budget speech. So in the budget speech, once the budget speech is done in the Lok Sabha, the budget is also, once Lok Sabha the budget is introduced, it is then introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Okay. So I already said Rajya Sabha doesn't have power to vote on demand for grants, right? So the budget document presented. So today Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji has introduced given the budget document. So what is there in the budget document? First is budget speech. Second is annual financial statement. Already said. Demand for grant. Appropriation bill. What is appropriation bill? Appropriation means taking money out of the consolidated fund. You are taking money from your account. Suppose you have a account in SBI. You give a check and take the money out. So you appropriate the money out of the bank. So next is financial bill. Along with this, according to FRBM Act, FRBM Act has some statements like macroeconomic framework statement and some other statement has to be introduced in the budget. Next is the budget also should introduce expenditure budget, receipts budget. Expenditure budget means what we spend. Receipt means what we get, what the government gets. Next is expenditure profile, expenditure where all expenditure has done, and also memorandum explaining the provision of the finance bill, budget at a glance, and outcome budget. Outcome budget means what? Outcome budget means whatever money is spent, what outcome it is leading to, whether it is leading to any outcome and output. That is outcome budget. So all these things are involved in the first stage, that is presentation of budget, that has happened today. Okay, next is general discussion. I already said what is general discussion. Third is the stage of scrutiny by departmental committees. So these departmental committees, what they do? So these departmental committees, they are going to scrutinize each provision. There are 24 departmental committees. Finance department, Home department, Defense department, Minerals department, Telecom department, likewise so many departments are there. Agricultural department, every department scrutinizes means, so what are the provisions in the bill? They scrutinize and they so in detail, they are going to discuss in detail what are the demand for grants. The departments examine the demand for grants by the ministries. So in this, once the scrutiny is done by the departmental committee, so each department of the government has a departmental committee in the parliament. So these parliamentary committees scrutinizes the demand for grants by each ministry. So once that is done, the next stage is voting on the demand for grants. Voting for the demand for grants. What happens in voting for demand for grants? So voting for demand for grants. What happens in voting for demand for grants? here, so in the voting for demand for grants, in the parliament, what they do, they vote whether there are many ministries, they demand. So they demand some money. So from the Consolidated Fund of India. So the parliament votes for the demand. Each demand they vote. So whether this demand should be granted, whether this program should be granted this much money. So if the demand is not passed, then that particular money is not granted to that particular program. So here comes the concept of cut motions. So there are many. So when the demand for grant is passed, when the demand for grant is introduced in the Lok Sabha, cut motions come into picture. So what are cut motions? What are the varieties of cut motions? One is policy cut motion. If the policy cut motion represents disagreement with the policy. So every program has a policy behind it. If the member introduces a policy cut motion, they say they don't disagree with the policy behind the program. So what do they say? So they say the amount of demand for grant is reduced to ₹1. So they say the amount for demand for grant is reduced to ₹1. Economic cut motion. Economic cut motion, they say, so this much money is not required for this much program. So we have to reduce it. So what do they say? So they say it states the exact amount by which the demand for grant should be reduced. Suppose there are 1000 crores is allocated for a program. They say, no, not this much money. We are going to reduce by 300 crores. So 700 crores is granted. Next is token cut motion. In the token cut motion, what happens? What they say? So they say the amount for demand for grant is reduced to ₹100. The amount for demand for grant is reduced to ₹100. So when do they do it? So it is, so suppose the parliament has some grievance. So they are dissatisfied with the government. So then they introduce the token cut motion. This is all with respect to token cut motion. Next is the concept of passing of appropriation bill. I already said what is appropriation. So there are two kinds of appropriation. One is the grants. So the demand of grants is voted by the Lok Sabha. So that money is taken out. That money is taken out from the Consolidated Fund of India. That is the first appropriation. Next is this expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. So these are not voted in the vote for demand for grants. So the salaries of High Court judges and President, Governor. So those are expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. That is also comes under the Appropriation Bill. So these two categories of money is taken out of the Consolidated Fund of India. So you already know what is Consolidated Fund of India. Last comes the passing of Finance Bill. Last stage is passing of Finance Bill. So this bill is passed to give the effect to the financial proposals of the Government of India. Government of India proposes certain financial elements. So to give effect to them, this bill is passed. Okay. So once this financial bill is passed, the entire process of budget is completed. So what does this financial bill do? I already said it gives effect to the financial proposals of the Government of India. Whatever proposals the government has done, that will be given effective to, that is approved by the Parliament. So this ends the introduction of the budget. So next there are other grants also. What are the other grants? So other grants are supplementary grant. First category is supplementary grant. So if the amount authorized by Parliament is insufficient, then supplementary grant is given. Additional grant is So when a need arises during the some new service, suppose a program is being envisaged, a program is running, some new service comes up. So some new service, new money is needed, then additional grant is given. So supplementary grant, additional grant are different. Excess grant means what? So a money is spent in excess of for a particular program, Manrega or some program, excess money is spent, then that money has to be ratified by the Parliament, that is excess grant. Next is the concept of vote of credit. So what is vote of credit? So it is like a blank check. It is like a blank check. It is like a credit given by the Parliament to the government. So when a service or when a situation arises which needs unexpected amount, so then you can use vote of credit, which doesn't specify any particular amount. Next is exceptional grant. Exceptional grant means what? It is for some special purpose in a particular year. Next is token grant. So token grant means what? Suppose there are Manrega is running, Ayushman Bharat is running. So Ayushman Bharat has 1000 crores, Manrega has 500 crores. Let us assume. So Ayushman Bharat needs only 750 crores. It has excess 250 crores. So this 250 crores, suppose Manrega needs. So we pass this token grant and give the money from this program, that is Ayushman Bharat to Manrega. Okay. Next comes the concept of funds. We are going to discuss the concept of funds. Okay. So we are going to discuss the concept of funds and end the class for today, and tomorrow we are going to discuss the ineffectiveness of parliamentary control and various other things. So what are the funds? There are three kinds of fund. One is the Consolidated Fund of India. Consolidated Fund of India, Article 226. Article 266. Public. Next is the Public Account of India. Public Account of India, Article 266. Last is Contingency Fund of India. Contingency Fund of India, Article 267. So Consolidated Fund of India is a very important concept. So what does it say? So it is a fund for which all the receipts of the government of India is credited. Like all your money is parked in a bank, all the money of government of India is parked in Consolidated Fund of India. So what does it include? All the revenues received by government of India, all the loans raised by the government of India, all the money received by the government of India in the repayment of loans, that is government of India advances loans to various state governments. If the state governments repay the loan, that also goes to the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay. Next comes the concept of Public Account of India. So all other public money other than what is given to or what is saved in the Consolidated Fund of India is saved in the Public Account of India. So what are these money? It means the judicial deposits. Suppose you do contempt of court, the court imposes 1 lakh rupees fine, that goes to Public Account of India. So savings bank deposit, you deposit your money in the savings bank, savings account, that also goes to Public Account of India. Also Provident Fund and also departmental deposits, remittances. So suppose you have your brother in some other country, he sends money to your family, you save it in the your bank account, that is also comes under the Public Account of India. Next is the concept of Contingency Fund of India. Next is the concept of Contingency Fund of India. So in Contingency Fund of India, what does it do? It is who holds it? It is held by the Finance Secretary. It is held by the Finance Secretary on behalf of the President. Okay. So what is contingency fund of India? It is like some emergency, some money is needed, so it can be taken out of contingency fund of India. How much money is saved? So that much, the amount of money that is saved in the contingency fund of India is determined from time to time, is determined from time to time by the Parliament. Okay, so this contingency fund was introduced in 1950. It is placed at the disposal of Parliament. Okay, this is what with respect to the contingency fund of India. So last we will just discuss the ineffectiveness of parliamentary control and end the class. It is a very short concept. So the Parliament has, so what are the ineffectiveness? Parliament is not functioning nowadays, right? So the number of sittings is less, number of bills referred to the parliamentary committees is less, and also there is a lot of ruckus. So the effectiveness of parliamentary business is also less. There is no effective debate, there is ruckus, there is throwing of chairs, there is shouting. So Parliament, along with this, there are many other ineffectiveness. So one is Parliament doesn't have a expertise. Suppose you pass an Aadhaar bill, many of the parliamentarians do not know what is biometric concept. So they don't have the expertise. So and also Parliament has grown in complexity. So and also technical nature of Parliament demand of grant. Suppose TRAI bill, telecom bill is introduced. No layman doesn't know what is telecom bill. Even the parliamentarians don't know. Okay. So and also the Parliament is having a large size. So 540 members, too much size. It is unmanageable. Next is so the committees like Public Accounts Committee do the post-mortem work once the expenditure is done. They don't do it before. So likewise, there are many other things. So there is no effective debate. So there is lot of unnecessary criticism. This is with respect to the ineffectiveness of parliamentary control. Tomorrow we are going to start from position of Rajya Sabha. Hope you found the class useful. Please take care of your health because the COVID pandemic is spreading. So please take good care of your health and have good sleep and nutrition because you are preparing for competitive exams. Hope you found the class useful. Make good use of it. It's a free program. So let us meet tomorrow. Have a nice time. Take care of yourself. Jai Hind. Thank you.